Did you know that it takes on average 14 hours to get a seller under contract, but it takes 42 hours to get a buyer under contract? In this video, I'm going to share with you the difference between a buyer's agent and a seller's agent and why it matters. Let's get into it. So if you literally make 3 times as much money working with sellers as you do working with buyers, then why doesn't every agent focus primarily on listings? Well, it's a totally different skill set. The path of least resistance in real estate is often to fill your schedule chasing 3 to 5 buyers that may or may not be AAA pre-qualified versus spending 2 to 3 additional hours per day prospecting, learning what to say to find new listings, go on listing appointments, and win the listing. Many of your first transactions in this business will be buyers, however. When you're getting started from 0 to 20 transactions per year, a large majority of those will be buyer transactions. When you get to 20 to 40 transactions per year, you should have a good mix of buyers and sellers. Once you're looking at 40 to 60 transactions per year, you're going to be leaning more now towards sellers, and at that time you're going to need a full-time staff person to help with paperwork. Once you get from 60 to 80 transactions per year, at that point you are going to need 1 or possibly 2 or more buyers agents to help support the overflow in buyer transactions that come to you as a result of being a top producing listing agent. Once you're doing 80 to 150 transactions per year and more, at that time you're building an organized production team, and moving forward from there, you're likely at some point going to want to get involved in the brokerage side of the business as well, which we'll talk a little bit more at the end of this video. In real estate, we don't get paid for our time. We get paid for our performance. So when you take out a buyer, it's actually a big risk to the agent. That's why I highly recommend making sure that all of your buyers are AAA pre-qualified, because if you're going to need to leave your family birthday supper to run out and show a property when a brand new hot listing hits the market, you better make sure that you have standards, that you have business systems in place for the buyers that you're going to take out on a regular, consistent basis. I always say the most taxing and expensive thing on your business is a high maintenance tire kicker. It's okay to have tire kickers. Some investors are very picky, but they only want to see a house every so often. And some clients are okay to be high maintenance. If you just sold somebody's house, they're going to be high maintenance because you need to help find them a house before possession of their current house. With listings, once you've set up the sign, the lockbox, the photos, the paperwork, etc., on that point forward, there's not a lot of time commitment required to keep the seller up to date and to negotiate contracts when offers come in. With a buyer, you're constantly pre-qualifying, going on appointments, setting up showings, driving around town, so it obviously takes more time to do those things. Think of it this way. What's the likelihood of you selling 5 properties on a weekend working with buyers? That would be an absolute nightmare of running around in a perfect alignment of all of the stars. Compared to with sellers, you just need to have things line up nicely enough, but you'll be negotiating on the phone, likely sometimes at the family barbecue. Now, buyers are definitely more fun, but listings are the name of the game. Drop in the comments #buyers or #sellers if you have a preference. There's no real right or wrong, but I'm curious. I still remember when our son was 3 months old, I made an exception to the rule I had working with buyers. During this time, my rule was I'm not going to continue working with a buyer if we don't gain serious traction within 3 appointments looking at properties. If they need additional support, I'm going to have one of my teammates step in to help support that person. Now, this particular client had a newborn baby and I could relate to them. I just sold their house, so I made an exception and took these clients out probably every single evening and weekend for a 3-week period. Every day in a row, we probably looked at 40 to 50 houses in that period of time. Now, as a father of a young child, you know how much of a sacrifice that is, and after working countless hours getting 1 property under contract, having that property fall through, they ended up buying the first property that we looked at with the listing agent. And that was the stick that broke the camel's back for me. That was the last straw when I finally decided, you know what? I'm going to allow myself to grow, and I'm going to implement a new strategy where my teammates will service the buyers and specialize working with buyers. Now I'm going to focus primarily on lead generation and team building. It's been an absolute game changer for my business. So back to the idea of getting involved in the brokerage side of things. The idea here is you eventually want to build equity and passive income as you continue to build your real estate career, similar to if you were to invest in rental properties as an example, because of course we know in real estate there's no real retirement plan. You have to take control of that part of the business for your own self. On the brokerage side of things, you have an option to buy into a franchise, which can be very expensive, or you can start an independent brokerage from scratch, which is a huge undertaking. And even if you do get it up off the ground, most independent brokerages still require the team lead or the broker owner to stay in sales production forever, just to keep that brokerage afloat, just to keep that brokerage operational and successful. So for me, that doesn't really look like retirement. And on the franchise side, as a brokerage owner, you're still stuck in logistics, compliance, trust accounts, etc., and it can be a lot of headaches. At eXp Realty, we've managed to solve that problem for real estate agents and broker owners. At eXp Realty, from day one when you start, you actually get to participate in the ownership equity component of the real estate brokerage. You still sell houses the same as you normally would, but when you come upon an opportunity where another co-op agent or a friend in the business who's an agent asks you how you like it at your company, if you refer them to eXp, you can actually start earning passive income in real estate. Now, believe it or not, this is actually still the primary way that broker owners will attract agents to traditional real estate companies. It's throughout the community and the agent support of the existing brokerage. The only difference here is at eXp, you get compensated for your contribution and you get compensated for your influence. Again, it's an absolute game changer, and I won't get into detail with it on this video, but I can tell you for sure that it's totally changed the way that I run my business, and my family is forever grateful for the growth that has happened as a result. If you want more information on eXp Realty, click the link in the comments to book into my calendar. Thanks for being here today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and look at this video next, which I think you'll also appreciate. See you on the next video.